Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James. Time for another summon for Accelerated Dragon. This time we're going to be taking a look at the idea of a5 with knight g4, basically a refutation to this little mess up if they do make it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Remember, this a4 move after a5 is not the best way to play. You should be allowing them to take and just castle. All right, here we go. e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes, knight takes, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, bishop c4, the modern variation. Castles, bishop b3, not falling for the knight takes e4 variation. Remember, if they do castle right away, knight takes e4, knight takes d5, just gives black the advantage again. And so, here, bishop to b3 gets played instead. There we go. And a5, and here, remember, don't play a4, just go ahead and castle here. So if they do play a4, knight takes a4, knight takes e4, and white still sustains a good advantage. And here, a common way that they make a mistake is they don't like this move. They just play a4. They don't want to learn the theory. And now, what do you play here? Black to move. When they play a4, knight g4, and, well, black is better again. In the last game, we saw what happens with queen takes on g4. This time, we're going to take a look if they try to play this Inter-Samoa or in between move, knight takes on c6. And this just does not work here. Now black is better. Knight takes on e3, knight takes d8, knight takes d1, and knight to d5 exclam. Here, of course, there's some other ideas, and you might want to take a look at. For instance, knight takes on f7 just does not work. Knight takes c3 here, no fear. Knight g5 check. King h8, and well, taking here is going to lead you to checks, losing your rook. The knight f6. Knight f7 check here, rook will just take, and you're going to be up that extra piece. So, back to this other move that gets played here, knight to d5 exclam. This is a more challenging move here, but again, black is just better in this game too. Here we just place rook takes d8, and you have no better move than rook takes d1. Knight takes e7 check does not work anymore, as the king just goes to f8, and well, this guy is hanging over here. You might try knight takes on c8 here, but then knight takes on b2, and yep, black is better in all lines over here too. So, rook takes on d1, king f8, just guarding the e7 pawn, and it looks like here white should have a nice little bind, but well, your b2 pawn is hanging over here, and e6 is ready to get kicked out. Here, white tried knight b6, trying to grab the bishop pair, but this does not help out, especially since this bishop has not moved at all. Here, black just goes into a better endgame, where, well, he was just able to outplay his opponent. Rook a6 exclam, knight takes, rook takes. Again, look at black's rooks. They're just looking great over here. White, on the other hand, never really got to castle. b2 is still a weakness here. Here, rook takes d7 got played, which is the best. If you do try to play something like, I don't know, c3, you just have rook b6 here, and, well, b2 is going to fall with c3 right behind it. All right, so rook takes d7, only move. Rook b6, same kind of idea here. Here, you still can't move the pawn, because then the rook will be taking, and here you'll be winning the b2 pawn and just have a better position. As you can see, black has 3 active pieces and white only has 2. This poor rook over here really just doesn't have time to join the game. h4 is played. This is an interesting way for the white rook to get into the game. Here you have the h5 idea to take over here on g6, opening up the rook, or maybe just a rook lift with rook h3. Here, computer gives best is king e2, just allowing the rook to jump in this way. And, well, the game is about even here. But even in these kind of games, especially with the opposite color bishops, with the rooks on the board, these things are very double-edged, and a slight inaccuracy, such as h4 right here, can lead to a lost position. Bishop takes b2. Of course, we're going to grab that pawn. h5, king e8. Nice little tempo off the rook. Rook back to d3. Rook to b4 here. No fear. This dark square bishop is doing a great job holding over here this h8 square. So h takes, and king to d2. Of course, we don't want to drop this pawn in check over here. If you try to play rook h7, again, rook takes e4 is check, and yep, black is just much better. So, king d2 real quick, bishop to f6, and rook h7, trying to put pressure on this f7 pawn. Take your time here. There's no need to play fast. Here, we just play pawn to e6, guarding all our pawns, and here we're going to continue our attack because the dark squares are just so weak. The light squares are not as weak here for black. Rook f3, trying to get a tempo off the bishop, and also maybe take on f7 here, but simple chess. King to e7 here, blocking. Here, e5 got played. A nice active way to try and get your rook to the f7 square, but simple chess here. We don't have to take on e5. We can just go ahead and play bishop g5 check, king d3, and now this gives us time to defend the f7 square. Rook d8 check, king c3, bishop f4, exclam. The idea is going to be we're going to be grabbing this pawn, and also we have plenty of time again to guard on f7 here. The e5 pawn doesn't look like it can be easily defended now. King b2, bishop takes an e5 check, pawn c3, rook over to f4. Of course, trades are only going to help out here as you're just up extra material. Rook takes, pawn to g3, bishop g5, bishop c2, and rook to g8. Here the idea was very simple. Bishop takes g6 was the idea to pin it and win it, so the rook just comes over here to defend. Again, take your time in these positions. There's no need to hurry. The c3 is also another weakness that probably will be getting pressure on pretty soon. Bishop e4, pawn b6. Always a good idea to put your pawns opposite color of your opponent's bishop. King c2, bishop f6, bishop to d3, bishop e5, king d2, king f6. Now you don't have to worry about this pesky g6 pawn, and now the rook is free to move about again. Rook h4, bishop to d6, king e2, bishop c5. Again, looking at these squares to attack, the dark squares. Rook over to d8, f4, and again, another poor move here. Although it looks like you're stopping your opponent from penetrating, again, you just put your pawns on the dark squares, and you have 3 pawns over here, and they're just going to be harassed, especially if this rook ever does get to penetrate. Bishop d6, king e3, rook c8, exclam, and now we see what the idea is. We're going to be pushing through over here. Pawn c4, look at those dark squares, nice and weak here. Rook to d8, check. And the rook penetrates now. Of course, there's nothing good with any other king move over here. Bishop back to d3. And now we just got to keep opening it up. So what do? Bishop d6. Bishop back. Here, just getting a little time on the clock, I assume. But here, this is the breakthrough idea. You play e5. And now after the pawn trade, the rook is going to have access to the g3 pawn. Takes king over. Of course, we don't want to take the pawn right away as rook takes f7. Well, game is going to be drawn now. But here, king to e6, we'll win this pawn back at our leisure. And again, the idea, rook g4 to take over here. Rook h8, king takes on e5 now. Rook e8, king back, rook e4, and rook back to d8. Trading rooks here will make the game really hard to win. Even though you're up to extra pawn, it is opposite color bishops. So we don't want to do that one just yet. Here, let's keep them on the board. Rook f4, check, no problem. King back to g7. Bishop e4, rook e8. King f3, and f5 exclam. Typically, it is a bad idea to put your pawns the same color as your opponent's bishop, but here the idea is the breakthrough. Bishop to c6, rook to e3 check, king over, king f6, bishop d6, again attacking over here will be happening very soon. Rook over, rook check, king over, rook c2. All these weaknesses, the rook has successfully penetrated position, so now you can really just move around and keep adding pressure. Also, the king can also add pressure themselves for the g3 pawn and the rook over here on f3. g4, I understand white trying to make some trades here, but this is also just giving black the pass pawn. Rook takes on c4, pawn takes, bishop over here. Simple chess, just pawn to f4, bishop back, rook b4, bishop c6. Here, black is just in full control over this game. And here you're going to see him just keep pushing forward nice and slow. In these games, again, don't play too fast here as you can just go ahead and win at your leisure. Rook b4, king over to f3, king c3, and here you see there's even ideas about king b3, rook takes a4. There's 3 passed pawns and a bishop will easily beat this rook. Rook b2 check, rook c2, rook over to h2, king c2, rook over, rook h1. Here it would be nice if we can get this pawn rolling. Rook over to a1, bishop c6, rook to a3, rook to what is this, d1. Rook c3, bishop back, rook c5, bishop e4 check, king over, and here, of course, you can't make the trade because of this guy over here. Oof, this is a long game. b5 exclam. Here, the breakthrough is finally able to be ready. Pawn takes, rook takes, and now you got the 2 passed pawns. This is typically known to be a win against opposite color bishops. So now, even here, you can make a trade of rooks, and it should be an easy win here. Although you do have to make sure that the bishop is opposite color, so this should be good. You should be an easy win just for trading off. King f3, rook over, check, Don't lose the pawn. Rook over, bishop e6, rook check, king over to f3, rook to b5. Here, again, I'm not too sure. Maybe not the best technique here from black at this point, but still winning game nonetheless. Rook c4 check, bishop d2, rook a2. Here, white was definitely thinking that they're going to be able to, feeling good about this position, about maybe drawing. But after king g4 here we go. What do we play? f3. It's time for the final breakthrough. Past pawns must be pushed. Bishop g6, rook d6, king takes, rook takes, and this is just a rook and pawn endgame win. Here the pawn cannot be stopped. And here a very nice move here, rook e6. This is known as cutting off the king. Once the king cannot get in here, the king and pawn will easily beat this rook. Check, king up, check, pawn over, pawn up, and now the idea is going to be to cut this rook off. See, the king always wants to go to b2, but the rook will keep checking you. So most likely the rook will just slide over, and then the king will just be able to get there. So here he's going to play rook over to stop this idea. So what do you do now? Here you get the rook to b1 as one of the winning ideas. Let's see what happens. Rook c6, rook over, and rook to b1. Game over. Must move out the way. Now your king has the escape square. King b2, check, king over, check, king over. Most likely go for the cheapo, rook h7, of course, going for checkmate at 1. But again, just simple chess. Rook b3 check, king over, rook c3 check, a nice move. You could make the queen here, but they'll just check you right and take. And here the idea, well, I guess there's many moves here to play, but here rook check is just best. And of course, if they do take, well, you just queen and check. And it should be a very easy game to win because the rook is undefended. It's going to be very hard for this king to move anywhere without losing this guy at some point. So king over, rook a3, and now you see the game is over because, well, we're going to be pushing this pawn forward and the king is not close enough to create these checkmate threats. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this game. We'll see you in the next one.